Hello everyone, and welcome back to the farm. It's been a while since we last saw each other, and I'm sure you all missed me terribly. I know that you all are very curious how I've been spending the last few months and the holiday season, and the answer to that is pretty simple. Digging. A lot of digging. You could almost say a ton of digging. I've spent a rather impressive and disappointing amount of time running the backhoe, digging out all sorts of drainage ditches and other things around the farm. It's a rather repetitive and mundane task, so I didn't want to constantly bore you of videos of me spending 8+ hours a day running this backhoe. My main focus right now is this ditch right here. I've been working on and off on it for probably the last 3 to 4 weeks. It takes a significant amount of time to dig out a ditch of this depth, width, and length with the backhoe. I mentioned it in the last video, so I don't want to beat a dead horse, but it is rather slow to do a job like this. You have to put the stands down, dig, move a little bit over, put the stands down, dig, and repeat all the way down. And this is about a half mile, and I may have 100 yards left on the west side of the ditch there, and it's done. It looks pretty good though. I'm proud with how it turned out. Probably gonna be the only drainage ditch of this size I get done this off season, but that's better than nothing. One thing I have learned to do to get a little bit farther into these big ditches is to back up as close as possible to the edge of the ditch bank, put my stands down like that right there is where my stand sunk in, and dig as far into the ditch as possible. This is kind of a two-part process because I can't just back the backhoe straight in. I need to be able to put the dirt back up on the bank, so I have to do it at an angle. Coming at an angle, dig out that spot, lift the dirt up, put it on the side. Over the last week or so, the weather has shifted away from that nice frozen, firm ground to more of a soggy mid-30s to 40s temperature, which doesn't give me the strength in the ground I need to put my clamps in and be very sure that I'm not going to go anywhere. So I have had to pay particular attention to what the backhoe's doing while I'm digging. The problem with this lack of deep freezes is that I can't go work out along fields without making a tremendous mess. Now I've contained myself to this filter strip and waterway area. That way if I do make a mess, it's not that big of a deal. It really hasn't been an issue. We have such a good footing here. The other morning it was flirting with freezing, about 30 degrees. I tried to take the backhoe out along another ditch on that farm over there to the east, and I about buried it. So that's going to be it for that kind of project until it freezes a little bit harder. I'm going to be stuck here until I finish this. This is a two-part project though. Digging is only half the battle, maybe more like 60 to 70% of the battle, but we will need to come out here along and somehow smooth out all of these dirt piles. That way we can get this filter strip back in working condition. I'm not quite sure how we're going to do that. I guess we'll just cross that bridge when we get to it. There's a lot of dirt out here, and this is high quality silt you find in the bottom of a waterway. Good stuff. If anyone wants some potting soil, there you go. I'm gonna go dig for a little bit and try and finish off this ditch. I don't know how much I'll get done because I do have a seed meeting here with Dad in a little bit. Got to finalize our seed order for next year. Spring 2021, right around the corner. Nothing quite like having a John Deere key tag on a Case backhoe. They say that some things never get old. Listening to the screeching, horrific sound that the backhoe makes when you turn the key, it definitely gets old by about the first time you do it. Thanks, Case. Let's go do some more digging. I finally upgraded my boredom protection, Apple AirPod Pros, both an upgrade in quality and now they're sound canceling. That's the easiest sell I've ever had in my life, ear protection and entertainment. I wonder if they're tax deductible. I have learned in my minimal amount of time working on the farm that making small investments in yourself in your day-to-day activities can make it just a little bit more easier and enjoyable. That should result in more happiness and safety. Whatever you need to tell yourself, that's what I tell myself. I just want a new AirPods. I have learned a few things about operating this backhoe in very wide smooth edge buckets since the last time we talked. As I continue to run the backhoe more and more, my goal is to figure out how to produce a very good looking finished product. If you look down the ditch that way, it actually looks pretty good. Very shapely, and that's the way we like it. It's a nice shape. I'm not necessarily trying to dig it any deeper. The bottom is only filled with gravel anyways. There's no reason to pull that up on the ditch bank. I'm widening out all the silt that's accumulated over the side. I've already done the east side there, so this is a really good example in pulling that back. Now I can't reach that in the middle. I don't know if I'll be able to get it from this side. If I don't, I don't. I think if we get a big rain that comes through here, it'll wipe it all out. As for me talking about how much room I don't have to work with on these ditch banks to get down to the bottom, my stand right there does not have any weight on it. As you can see, there's nothing really holding me on there. If I put a tremendous amount of weight that way, which this big bucket is very capable of doing, That does help me. For the most part though, I think I'm sturdied by my wheels and my bucket up front. I'll give you a live demonstration, if it's even possible with one hand, how to run this so you have a very good product. The main thing I've learned is just to watch the front of that bucket and start it at the grade you want the ditch to be at when you're done, and just pull it up towards you and slowly slice away at it like a pie. Or a cake. I actually hate pie. I'll give you a little demo here if I can. Run it up about 1500 RPMs and then just pull it in. Well, it didn't work with one hand. Scoop. Take it over and dump it. Okay, that was good. That's what it looks like though. Nice and smooth. I'm not looking for perfection, I'm just looking for progress. I've been out here digging for quite a while since the last time we talked, and I just came to a very dark realization. My headphones were starting to have some connectivity issues to my music, and I was thinking to myself, like, what in the world? These things are practically brand new. Why would they be having any kind of difficulties? So of course, going down the flowchart of problems, I was looking for my phone to make sure it wasn't obscured in some way, and it's not in my pockets, it's not in the cup holder, not in my sweatshirt pocket. Then it hit me. The last time I had seen my phone was when I set it on the front tire mud flap while I was outside dehydrating myself. I almost don't want to go looking for it and just stay here and keep digging because it can't be completely broken if I don't go look for it. I believe that's how that works. Well, it's not right here where I left it last time. That was a silly mistake. I mean, it's probably been 2 or 3 stops since I didn't have the phone. Oh boy. You all right? I almost don't want to look at it. What do you think? Broken? Not broken? Any guesses? I'm an optimist. All right, here goes nothing. Oh, wow. And it fires up. It's a little wet. Screen's completely shattered. That's not good. Fascinating. Wonder if it worked. Touch. Huh. I guess when you pay $1,000 for a phone, it's pretty durable. I would still give the victory to the Backhoe though. I think it won this battle. I would imagine that the rear tire ran right over that. Now that I think about it, that could just be the glass screen protector I have on the outside. The phone may not even be cracked. If that was the case, I'd be incredibly impressed. This is why you never leave things where you're not going to remember them, and if you do forget them, they're going to be in a lot of trouble, such as on the front mud flap of your Backhoe, right in line to be ran over by the rear tire. There is one silver lining though. I do have the sweet stocking cap from Ron at Hartung Family Farms. Thanks, Ron. Because of this whole fiasco or blunder or whatever you want to call it, I'm almost late to my seed meeting that starts in like 1 minute. Hopefully Dad's there to meet the guy. I'll just show up late and we can do like a good cop, bad cop thing. Does that work on seed dealers? I don't know. Stay. If anyone wants to be so generous and come clean my windows while I'm gone, I'm not going to pay you, but I would thank you. In some strange reality, you could argue that my headphones actually saved my phone today. I would have never known it was lost if I hadn't seen them start to disconnect. Albeit I would have noticed at some point in time. All right, I gotta run. I'll talk to you guys after the seed meeting. I have a lot more to say. I'd like to add an additional reference point for our need for sub-zero temperatures. Look at this mess. Typically, we would never do anything of this nature. We don't like to rut up any kind of lanes or fields for that matter. However, if I didn't do that, I would probably have nothing to do here at the farm, or at least nothing meaningful. Sometimes you do have to make sacrifices to have some kind of notable progress. And my truck's gonna need cleaned. It was totally clean before I drove out here, 100%. Woo! She's dirty. Fine. Now we can go to the seed meeting. At least once you have a nice little groove made out of ruts, you don't have to steer anymore. It just steers itself. Only moderately muddy. Okay, now I'm going to the seed meeting. I'll talk to you after this. Dad and I just finished up at the seed meeting, and we basically have all of our hybrids and varieties and seed companies picked out for next year. Our soybean lineup, which is more of my specialty and the point of contention in our operation and many operations around the country, has taken a little bit of a different shift than I foresaw it taking last year. One of the major recent developments in the off-season for soybean herbicide technology was the reapproval of the dicamba herbicides, those being XtendiMax, Fexapan, and Ingenia, and a few others. But those are the products you can apply to your soybean fields that are traded for Xtend. One very important addition to those rules in Illinois is that they expanded the sensitive crop boundary from 120 feet to 240 feet. Basically, if you're next to a crop that is sensitive to dicamba herbicides, like an enlist bean or a conventional bean or just a Roundup bean, you have to leave 240 feet of non-dicamba application. So the rest of the field can be applied to it, but that strip right there cannot. 120 foot, which is typically one large sprayer width, was a lot at the time. Now we're going to 240 foot, doubling that. That's going to be a lot of area to control without having to use the Xtend herbicide. Because of this revelation, we've decided to actually plant some Xtend Flex soybeans and some regular Xtend soybeans. Now, last harvest, if you asked me, I was probably going to think that a majority of our acreage would be enlist. With this reapproval though, we are going to try out some of Asgro's new Xtend Flex soybeans, which are supposedly pretty good, and we're planting some traditional Pioneer Xtend beans. Pioneer's Xtend beans having a proven record of very high performance. The Xtend Flex beans only have trial data, so we're going to see how they perform on our farm. And then we are planting some Don Mario enlist beans again, which did really well on the acreage we put them on, and some Pioneer enlist beans as well. For those of you that are interested in this topic, I made a video last summer talking about the difference between enlist and Xtend herbicide platforms. The Xtend Flex that I mentioned is basically Xtend beans with Liberty tolerance added on top of them, or glufosinate. I'm really excited to see how this all pans out come planting time, but we're going to have one massive headache sorting through all these different units at our seed warehouse, and our sprayer applicators are going to have even more of a nightmare. There's going to be some very special considerations to make, but we'll talk about those another day. We're going to go back home and see exactly how cracked this phone is under this glass screen protector and this case. Okay, let's get the screen protector off in the case and see exactly how damaged this phone is. This is where I play Minesweeper. Well, it's dirty. That's for sure. There's a few cracks in the back, but some of these were already here. A little bit of dirt on the camera. The real question is what lies underneath the screen protector. I just came to a very unfortunate realization that this is not a glass screen protector that you put over the top. This is actually just my screen. There is no glass screen protector. You can see the screen is starting to bow out of the iPhone. Very unfortunate. When I got this phone, I did put on a screen protector, but it was some kind of liquid glass screen protector. I should have just bought a legitimate one on there. So, this is what my iPhone's like now. Be on the lookout for an upcoming video on how to replace the screen on an iPhone 10. You can almost see where the tread ran over the screen at. It's like perfectly U-shaped around here. The majority of the weight was right in here. That's very depressing. Not only do I have a broken iPhone, I also got my setup all dirty. I just cleaned this. At least corn's $5. Speaking of the price of corn, the last time I made any mention of the grain markets, I said that there was a pretty strong rally. Well, that's amplified and picked up even more potential. Within the last month, from December on, we have seen a significant increase in the price of corn. We're almost at $5 right here on the nearby March contract, which is the next contract expiration. Usually you do not see that kind of rally at this point in the year on old crop corn. We're seeing a very similar trend on soybeans. Last time I made mention of this, it was probably around here in November, and we've seen almost a $3 rally, which is pretty tremendous. That's very good for profitability on farms, although a lot of farms were probably already sold when we hit the $10 range and $4 range respectively. Who knows where this is going to end up? It's going to be very interesting to follow it. I'm going to be biting my nails the whole time because this has a lot of impact on the bottom line of farms, and when you start to raise up on the top end, profitability can skyrocket. It's really a breath of fresh air to see prices this high though, because we've been trading in a very low price range For almost 2 years, this chart's going back to May, but if I bring it back even farther, we've seen depressed soybean prices and grain prices overall since the beginning of the trade war. I'm not a marketing expert by any means. I do have a few theories, though, why we've seen such an aggressive rally in the grains as of late. First and foremost, we're seeing a lot of speculative buying and hedging from large funds. These are people trying to make money on the momentum of grains, but also hedge against inflation. Physical commodities like grain, like gold, anything of the sort, are the only real way to hedge yourself against the powers of inflation. Since the beginning of the COVID pandemic, we've pushed so much artificial money into the economy that there's a very realistic fear that we may see a lot of inflation. My second theory is that we've understated the amount of production over the last few years, and that's finally catching up to us. As we produce crops, the USDA theorizes exactly how much grain is produced and how much grain is used. There's been a lot of contempt over reports within the last few years that the numbers could not have been right, that the US did not produce near as much grain as they were saying we were. Whether that's true or false, that could very well be a reason that we're having so much demand eating up our supply. When people start to see the carryout number get very low, or the amount of grain we're carrying over after usage, they get very concerned with the supply side of things and price goes up to ration that. The third factor, which is actually supplemental or synergistic with the second factor, is that there is some talk, whether true or false, that South America is having some dry weather that might significantly impact their productivity on the soybean crop they're growing right now. If you combine a low carryout in the United States with a low production in South America, we will have a global shortage in soybeans that keeps that price rising up. As China's population continues to grow and they restock and amplify their herd of hogs because of the devastation of the African swine fever, they're going to continue to devour demand, and the United States and South America combined may not have the production ability to keep up. The only way to compensate for that is to raise prices. We should have a better understanding of a few of these aspects in the next few weeks as the next World Supply and Demand Report comes out, or the WASDE. That gives us a good idea of supply, demand, usage, basically all of the very important factors that go into the global balance sheet of soybeans and corn. As a farmer, I do hope that prices keep rising. That is excellent for our bottom line. However, the futures market is a zero-sum game. For every winner, there is a loser. We're going to see negative impacts on the ethanol market because as corn prices go high, if there's not an equally high oil price, ethanol does not pencil out. If it wasn't for subsidies in the first place, the ethanol market would not be as big as it is. I'm optimistic that everything will keep running in a positive direction. If corn gets to $6, won't be hard to justify a new iPhone. Okay, everyone, that's enough talking for one video. Let me know in the comments below what you want to see content-wise over the next few months, as things over the farm are very repetitive and mundane. I don't want to bore you with me running the backhoe all day, and I would like to answer any kind of questions you have about agriculture or other things in general. So drop your comments below, let me know what you think. As always, I appreciate your support. Like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you want to see more, and comment if you have any questions. Have a great night, everyone. Kitty, what are you doing? You're in the way.